Mesothelioma is an aggressive form of cancer that develops in the mesothelium, the protective lining that covers many of the internal organs. It is usually caused by exposure to asbestos. Asbestos was widely used in construction materials for much of the 20th century before its health risks became apparent. While banning asbestos has helped reduce new cases of mesothelioma, past exposures mean it will continue affecting people for decades. There are steps that can be taken to help prevent this deadly disease. Avoid asbestos exposure. The most important prevention strategy is to avoid inhaling asbestos fibers. Asbestos fibers can become airborne easily and once inhaled can become trapped in the lungs and mesothelium. While asbestos usage declined in the late 20th century, it is still present in many older building materials like insulation, ceiling and floor tiles, cement sheets and pipes. Any renovation or demolition work in pre-2000 structures requires extra caution as asbestos may be disturbed. Proper protective equipment like respirators should be worn and containment protocols followed. Avoid take-home exposures. Workers who have occupations involving asbestos, like construction, insulation or shipbuilding, are at higher risk. Asbestos fibers can get trapped in clothes, skin, hair and tools, unintentionally exposing family members at home. Workers should change out of work clothes and shower before going home to reduce this risk of spread. Laundering work clothes separately can also help. Educating those in at-risk jobs about take-home exposure protocols can aid prevention. Be aware of naturally occurring asbestos. Asbestos is still found naturally in the environment, especially near fault lines in California, Oregon and Alaska among other areas. Construction or landscaping work in areas with naturally occurring asbestos can potentially stir up fibers and lead to inhalation. Checking geological surveys and consulting local authorities can help determine if a project poses asbestos exposure risk from natural sources. Taking extra precautions like wetting down soil during excavation may reduce fibers becoming airborne. Improve regulation and monitoring. Strict regulations banning asbestos in construction materials has helped curb new exposures. Oversight of improper disposal of asbestos-containing waste needs strengthening too. Regular air monitoring in public buildings, schools and workplaces constructed before the asbestos ban will alert authorities to potential issues that require remediation actions like abatement or repair work. Tougher penalties also act as deterrents for violating regulations regarding asbestos handling. Strengthening and enforcing existing legislation reduces chances of future exposures. Increase disease surveillance. Improving national registries to track mesothelioma incidence and characteristics aids focused prevention efforts. Surveillance brings to light susceptible subpopulations and geographic clusters, helping pinpoint targets for intensified public education campaigns. Registries also advance epidemiological understanding of influences like latency periods, fiber types, interaction with other risk factors. Advanced tracking illuminates remaining exposure sources and how to best protect workers and the public. Remote asbestos safety training. Making asbestos safety and awareness part of standard occupational safety education helps workers recognize hazards and take appropriate precautions. Training programs highlight risks even from incidental, low-level exposures that accumulate over decades. Proper abatement procedures, hazard communication protocols and use of protective equipment are covered. Understanding mesothelioma hazards empowers workers to avoid taking asbestos risks home to families too. Continuing education ensures risks remain top of mind even for those no longer directly working with asbestos. Conduct community outreach. Since past asbestos exposures mean communities will face mesothelioma cases for years, education must target the general public too. Explaining signs and symptoms encourages prompt medical evaluation. Outreach highlights how casually disturbing products like ceiling tiles, vermiculite insulation or brake pads in older structures without protections like wetting carries risks. Communities where naturally occurring asbestos is possible need specific education on how to stay safe during digging or dust-stirring activities. Coordinated campaigns raise asbestos risks awareness and shape prudent behaviors. Support research initiatives. Advancing scientific understanding of disease etiology, identification of high-risk populations and biomarkers that facilitate early detection is crucial. Research also targets more effective prevention through technologies like deployment of asbestos dust monitors or development of abatement robotics reducing work or exposures. Exploring alternative treatments and novel immunotherapies holds promise to improve outcomes. Public-private partnerships that accelerate application of results benefit at-risk groups. Knowledge gained from intensified research supports continuous improvement of mesothelioma prevention strategies. A multi-pronged approach combining regulation, surveillance, education, community engagement and research offers the most comprehensive route to mesothelioma prevention. While past exposures mean risks cannot be fully eliminated, diligent efforts to limit future exposures can help curb this preventable disease. Continued emphasis must remain on raising public awareness of ongoing hazards even decades post-ban, empowering informed decisions and behaviors to avoid asbestos risks. Coordinated actions across all fronts can maximize the impact of strategies to reduce suffering from mesothelioma worldwide.